The Spooky Celebration and Hello Kitty Island Adventure just started, and it's gonna go for 5 weeks. As usual, it starts out with a short cutscene explaining the event and letting you know how you'll be able to collect this year's currency. Spooky Celebration is a little bit different than our other events. Each day, in order to collect the currency, the spooky treats, you can actually trick or treat with any of the characters on your island, and this includes the visitors. However, each day you'll only be able to trick or treat 3 times for treats. In order to trick or treat, it does need to be nighttime, and you need to be wearing a costume, something with a spooky tag. Once it is nighttime and you're wearing an appropriate outfit, go and talk to a character. You'll have a new purple option to trick or treat, and when you click it, they'll give you 3 treats. You'll be able to do that 3 times. If you continue to trick or treat after the 3 times, you'll start getting tricks instead, and these may be various materials you can find around the island, like sticks or apples. I haven't been able to test it yet, but I'm pretty sure your trick-or-treating may stack up to 3 days, but if it's like past events, that's probably the way it'll go. However, you may still want to be logging in every day because you'll also be getting 1 additional spooky treat for each of your daily tasks. And if you have Wheatflower Wonderland open, you have 5 daily tasks, so you'd be able to get 14 treats each day, and you're probably going to want the maximum. So you're going to have 9 treats from trick-or-treating, 4 from your main daily tasks, and 1 more from your daily Wheatflower Wonderland task. And over the course of 5 weeks and 1 day, that means you could collect a total of 504 treats. If you're only doing all the trick-or-treating, that would be 324 treats. And we have a ton of new items. And the Spooky Celebration is one of the few events where we have 2 years of past items. And even if you got the deluxe, last year's items weren't included. So all of the Spooky Lolita set, the clothing, and the furniture is going to be new to everyone on Steam and Switch. But first, let's look at all of this year's new items. And in the event stand, we have tons of witchy items. We have a new floor and wall and a bunch of Witches Slayer items, like potions, a standing candelabra, a new plant, a witch's lectern, and a ton more. And then in the other tabs, we have all the old furniture and old clothing and previous avatar palettes, because in these tabs we're also including the Fall Fashion Frenzy. And luckily, the Fall Fashion Frenzy items are not going to cost you spooky treats, so you'll be able to get those with materials. However, each of the furniture and the clothing will cost you a spooky treat. All of the previous clothing, except for the ones in yellow, can also be dyed into a ton of different colors. And we have some items missing because we don't see the previous year's wings in the clothing here. We don't know yet if this is another Scholastic Skirt situation or if those are going to end up on the login bonus calendar. But right now, to get 1 of each of the new furniture, it would be 154 treats. In the past, we did have the soundtrack in the login bonus calendar, so I'm not counting that in there. That would be an additional treat for that. For the old clothing that's pictured, it would be 19 if you only got 1 of each. Add another one, bring us to 20 if we're counting the wings if those show up later, and then 35 for the old furniture. However, that will also cost you 290 glowberries and a ton of woodblock, and glowberries only spawn 7 per day, and that would take you 42 days to collect that many glowberries, and the event doesn't run that long, so you would not be able to collect enough glowberries if you start at 0 today in order to buy everything. I think that's a pretty steep, unexpected cost. In addition to this, much of the past clothing can be dyed into a ton of different colors. So for the bat bow, we have 7 different colors. The wings, should they show up, come in 18 colors. The Gothic Lolita dress has 15 returning colors and 1 new color. So even if you did play the event before, you have all the colors you thought you did. There's 1 new one this year, and we don't know yet if that new color may show up on a login bonus calendar, or if we should be expected to know there's a new color, buy the old dress, and then dye it into the color. We have the same situation with the jacket having 6 returning and 1 new, and with the Spooky Lolita dress having 17 returning and 1 new color. And then we have 18 for the lace bow, 17 for the mini hat, 17 for the Gothic Lolita suit, 7 for the overalls, and 7 for the patchwork gown. So altogether, that is 129 returning clothing colors that are dyeable, 3 new dyeable clothing colors, and at least 10 undyeable returning clothing. So you may be thinking, it's impossible for me to get 1 of everything if I consider all of those colors and all the past stuff, but it's actually doable, just kinda hard, because altogether we have 154 for new furniture, 129 for old clothing colors, plus 10 undyeable, plus 3 new clothing colors, 35 for old furniture, and that's with me counting all 18 colors of the wings, assuming they get added to the shop in the future, and that only brings us to 331. So you do need to do some of your dailies, but as long as you're doing some of your dailies and you trick-or-treat every day, technically you could get one of everything. However, we have the wild card of our login bonus calendar. Now currently on the login bonus calendar, we can only see part 1. We expect there'll be a part 2 and a finale. Currently we have Baku's vest and Kuromi's dress. However, what we don't know is if these are the dyeable versions or if we'll be getting those later. But from the trailer and from this image, we're expecting to see My Melody's dress and hat, Kuromi's dress and hat, Barry's suit, Baku's vest, possibly pants, possibly Cherry's hat, but I don't think so. Now, Cherry's dress is a new colorway, Wish Me Mel's dress is a new colorway, and Tuxedo Sam's outfits also new colorways, and his hat is actually not Spooky Celebration specific, but those account for the 3 new colors. All the other items are brand new. In the trailer, we see at least 6 or 7 different colors for My Melody's outfit, and we see multiple colorways for Kuromi's hat, multiple colors in her dress, at least 2 different colors of Baku's vest. We do only see 1 colorway for Barry's striped suit, so it's possible that's a one-off. It's possible Baku's only comes in purple and orange, but I am a little concerned that maybe these additional items will be dyeable, and they may be like recent events where we may need to also buy them in the shop, and that could really add a lot to how many treats we need in order to get all the colorways and cut back on how many duplicates we could get. Right now, I'm wondering, say there's only 7 different colorways, and all 6 items come in those 7 different colorways, that would be an additional 42 treats, which is still doable. You just really need to be playing and doing all of your dailies and all of your trick-or-treating every day. So this is feeling like a really labor-intensive event because of the way that you get the treats and because it's such a massive collection and some of the costs are so high. It may actually take you several days of trick-or-treating looking at you 35 treat fireplace, requiring me to trick-or-treat for 3 days in order to get it and do all my dailies. So this is an event not to miss, and it includes some of my favorite items in the game. Be sure you're trick-or-treating and doing your dailies every day that you can. And with this event, you've probably seen many of the characters are gonna have new outfits, including some of the visitors. Now, the visitor outfits were not available right away, neither was Wish Me Mel's, even on Apple Arcade, so I'm assuming there'll be another cutscene later in the event that'll unlock those, or I could also see those maybe being unlocked in the login bonus calendar, but we'll have to wait and see. Baku's is up first, but you're gonna have to log in for an entire week before we get our first new piece of clothing in this event, and it'll take 2 weeks until we see the second. And after that, we really have no idea because we have to wait for that calendar to unlock. And in addition to those items, we did see a back broom item. No idea if that's going to be dyeable or not. It'd be really nice if it was, but they don't show us any variation. And if it's not dyeable, that'll save us some trouble, some treats, and some dye. I'm assuming that one will probably not show up until the finale, as they've been doing that with accessories lately. But I am really hoping that any of the dyeable new clothing comes as a full set on that login bonus calendar, so I don't have to worry about planning for it and spending my treats. But after the last few events, I'm not really sure that's realistic. But in any case, this event has so many good clothing items, so many good furniture items, and all that Lolita stuff is completely dyeable, so it has a ton of range. Hopefully this helped you with the Spooky Celebration and Hello Kitty Island adventure. If it did, be sure to give the video a like to help others find it as well. Subscribe for more Hello Kitty Island adventure content, and turn on notifications to find out the next time we go live. Hope to see you there.